Lights, camera, action. Oh, wow, that is really overexposed. So, there we go. Welcome to Windy Tech, a channel all about apps, gear, and automation in the Apple ecosystem. Today we're going to talk about a big release for me, a big moment for me, a little bit self-serving, but I think you'll enjoy it nonetheless because I'm getting ready to announce BestPhotos 2.0. So what's the story? Why did I build this app? Back in April of 2016, my wife and I went on a trip back to our honeymoon spot. We'd been married for about 4 years. We went back to Aruba. We love Aruba. It's a great place to visit. And in order to pack light, I decided I'm not going to bring a Mac. As a developer, and I'm rarely that far from my Mac to be able to get on and fix problems or do whatever else. So this was kind of an adjustment for me. I'm like, I'm going to just enjoy the vacation. Of course, I also brought like a camera with me as well. But when I got there, I started taking all these vacation photos. We were having a great time. But then when I went to import them onto my iPad and try to manage those photos and delete the ones that I didn't want and, add them to certain albums or, do all kinds of other management of the photos, I just found that, the Photos app and all the related tools were really great for simple use cases. But I wanted something a little bit more powerful and that had a few more sort of pro-like features, I guess you could say, for managing my iCloud photo library. Fast forward to about a year later, in April of 2017, I launched the first 1.0 version of the app. So I've developed a few other apps on the side outside of work, and it's rare that I've seen something resonates so well with customers. That sounds so cheesy. I've had people reach out to me on Twitter or send me emails, or I've seen app reviews that are just like, you can really tell that people are enjoying this application on a different level than previous ones I've developed. And that's been really exciting for me. And I've worked on adding new features, and some of those have been, developed in front of YouTube. But then as I was moving and stuff and just decided, I don't know if watching me code is really the most entertaining content for YouTube, so I kind of cut that from my channel. But at the same time, I still wanted to keep developing new features for BestPhotos. I worked on this over the summer, and I'm really excited to finally launch BestPhotos 2.0. It's not like, sometimes a 2.0 or a 3.0, like a big update to an app is a complete rewrite, and they just throw out all the old code and then just rewrite it. This, I feel like, is more an evolution of what was already there, but adding some key features and changing some kind of foundational elements of how the UI works that I think will be better going forward with other features that I want to add over time, etc. So why would you want to use BestPhotos? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and launch the app here and show you a little bit of 2.0 and some of the features that are existing and new that I really like using in my app. So I'm going to go ahead and go to settings. I'm an app developer. I take a lot of screenshots, and I want to go ahead and just hide screenshots for this demo, just so nothing that is in there and my camera roll leaks out that shouldn't, or whatever. I don't know. So I'm going to go through and just look. Here's some photos from the past week. Been doing some home improvement stuff. Got some cat photos, and then I can even go down then to the past month. These are some kind of weird photos that I don't like, so I don't know what was happening there, why they got taken of the ground, but I'm just going to go ahead and tap, hold, and drag. I brought up multiple selection mode, and I can just go in here and tap the delete button, and those photos are gone, which is great. Cleaning up my library, keeping it nice and neat. Some of these other ones I took at the hardware store, working on some projects. I need to remember what those are. I'll keep those there for now. So if I go through here, I can scroll through different albums I have. I can go down here to my smart albums as well. And I can just go up here to say, show me everything. But let's say I want to look at my Chicago photos. So I take a lot of pictures of downtown Chicago because I go to work there pretty much every day. And here's a little curated collection of some photos I like in downtown Chicago, of downtown Chicago. So I'm going to open this one. Oh, that's pretty cool. So it looks like I favorited this other one. You can see the little favorite icon down there in the corner, and the icon down here is turned on, showing that it's a favorite. But let's say, you know, okay, cancel out of that. Let's flip through some up here. And if I want to favorite or delete, one of the things you can watch the implementation of this feature on this YouTube channel is just swiping to delete or favorite. So I can favorite the item or delete it. So then these are from a couple of years ago. I did some long exposures down on Michigan Avenue in December with all the lights up. It was really nice. But let's say I have these two photos here, and I can just tap between them and sort of see, you know, immediately the differences. And this is something that drives me crazy, that the Photos app, you have to swipe between photos. And so this way with these buttons, I can just quickly see, you know, visual differences between this photo, boom, this photo, boom, this photo. And just, your brain can just really analyze stuff that way. And I use BestPhotos like that all the time. But then there's also a premium feature for those who pay for the best features, premium upgrade, the BestPhotos, the best features, you get it. So if you hit this compare button here, then you get this dual pane view where you can see both photos at the same time on your iPhone. And then from there, you can just zoom in and pan around, and I'm zooming on one of the pictures, but it's panning around on both of them at the same time so that you can see details up close of different photos. It's especially handy if you have photos that are really similar. Maybe you're taking a picture of someone and then you've taken multiple shots and they all look pretty similar, but you just want to get in and really peek at the pixels and see which one was really in focus. That's a great use case for compare. I can also, so the way this works is that you have this comparing, your photo that you're comparing, and then you have your other photos, your main photo library down at the bottom. And this might be landscape if you're on iPad or you turn your XS Max in landscape. From there, I can choose this swap button. So what this allows me to do is take the photo that's being compared up here in my photo library and swap them. So now this is the photo that's being compared, and then I have other photos down here in my library that I can swap through. So when you compare a photo, it sort of pulls it out of your library or that, like, you know, set of photos you're looking at and puts it up there to compare. And then from there, I can go ahead and choose whether I want to delete a photo or not. And I can, you know, choose which one do I like better. Oh, maybe this one has like a car in it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I can close compare mode here. It takes me right back, puts that compared photo back into my list of photos that I'm going through. So I can also view photo info. So if I tap here, I can see that this picture was, surprise, taken in Chicago down on the river. And then it will load all kinds of other metadata about it. It was using aperture f5, ISO 250. This was shot on my Sony camera. And another thing, if you like to use the iPad or your iPhone with an external keyboard, all these, a lot of these functions that I showed you, like viewing the info, toggling compare mode, flipping between photos, you can do with a hardware keyboard, which can be really nice especially if you want to manage your photos on a vacation or something. You don't have the room to take your laptop, but you have the room to take like a small keyboard with you. That can kind of elevate your setup, you know, when you get back to your place at night or whatever, and you want to go through the photos from the day. Having a hardware keyboard, if you're like me and you like hotkeys and that kind of stuff, can be really handy. Another thing that I want to talk about that's a completely free feature and is brand new in 2.0 is this photo stats view. And I find this really fun to see the numbers around your photo library and what you've been shooting. And it's an area that I hope other people take a lot of interest in, because I'd like to be able to put some more time into developing more features around photo stats. I think it can be kind of fun. So you can check it out here, and you can see that in the past 12 months, I've shot 24.9 billion pixels in photos, which is pretty crazy. That's just what's remained in my photo library. 24.9 billion pixels. It's pretty fun to see that. Also, the average resolution is 12 megapixels. That's, basically most of my photos are smartphone photos. Surprise. Even though I have this big 24 megapixel Sony camera, I should be using it more to take more photos because they look great. But the smartphone's what you have with you a lot, but that can be an interesting thing to kind of see, what percentage of your photos are taken at higher than 12, sort of more than a smartphone resolution, and what are, is your average more at 12, or maybe you have a bunch of old photos and so then it's lower. But that's your average megapixel count. Then back to that similar photos, this shows you how much your library was taken together, like in those clumps that you kind of still need to go through. And ideally you want that percentage to be lower, which means that you kind of filtered out a lot of the photos that you don't, that are just outtakes, that are photos you don't want. I'm not saying don't keep multiple versions of the same shot. I'm just saying, like, get rid of the ones that you don't really need. Then you can also see photos that have GPS location. This is also very handy. And then vertical videos, how many of your videos you shoot are in portrait orientation, maybe for social media versus filmed in landscape. And then videos in 4K as well. A lot of the iPhones today can shoot 4K. Have you turned it on? Are you shooting in 4K? Why not? Feel free to leave a comment down below if you have opinions on that, but I think people should be trying to shoot more in 4K. Then you can also see totals by month of different types of things you shot. You can tell that I shoot mostly photos, and I've done a pretty good job of pruning my library down, except for December and January where we're a little, had a lot of activity. But you can have videos, photos, and then live photos. It shows you there how many of each that you've shot in a given month. Another thing that BestPhotos will help you do, and this is free as well, is finding duplicate photos. Now, how can duplicate photos happen? iCloud Photo Sync is pretty good these days, and so it's generally not gonna just copy photos for you. But every so often you can say import photos twice into your library. Sometimes, Photos will try and prevent that on the Mac and on iOS as well, but it happens for various reasons. So you import your camera memory card twice or something, and then you have a bunch of copies of the same photos. Another circumstance that I found is, say, like you go and edit a photo in Visco, and then you save it out to your camera roll, and then you post that photo to Instagram. Then from there, Instagram also saves a copy of the same photo. So then you have two versions of the same photo, one from Visco, one from Instagram. It's the same photo, and so why not have this app find those for you and then help you decide what to delete. Now, if you go search for duplicates, it'll go ahead and search your library and try and find them. And then so if you found any duplicates in your library, you can go ahead and delete them. Now the premium feature here is just to automatically remove duplicates. So if you have a bunch of them, it can just automatically delete one copy of those duplicates for you. And so that's part of the best features. But if you just want to look through these and say, yep, these are exactly the same photo, I'm just going to go ahead and manually delete one, then that you don't have to pay for. So I can do that, hit delete, boom, done. And then do I want to rate my app? No, not now. That's annoying. Just kidding. Please rate my app 5 stars if you like it. Really appreciate it, and it helps everything in the App Store. That's duplicate photos. You also then have, with the best features, all of these other smart searches. They'll help you go through your library and filter out things. Some of them that I want to highlight, new in 2.0, is vertical videos and iOS screen recordings. So I can go in here and say, I want to see all my iOS screen recordings, and then it will show it to me right there in a list. I can go back. I'm going to choose all my vertical videos. So here's videos, some of which I shot for Instagram stories and other things. And those are, you know, maybe I want them, maybe I don't. And I can go through and kind of clear out vertical videos that, yeah, I just shot for that story for Instagram. I don't really care about keeping it long term or whatever. Just an easy way to get to maybe some photos that, or sorry, maybe some videos that don't need as much work. And I also completely rewrote how the app plays videos when you get to this carousel, this sort of detail carousel. And so this is a lot better than it previously was. There's not any kind of layout bugs or weird stuff going on. So that feels really nice. And that whole transition where the photos expand in and out, that took a lot of time. And that was also something I built new for 2.0. Well, you may or may not have duplicate photos. You almost certainly have clumps of photos that you took together. So you were at an event and you just shot a bunch of takes of something. And sometimes you're diligent and organized. You go back and go through all those photos and just choose the ones you want to keep, and then delete the ones that weren't so good. But sometimes you forget about it, and then a month goes by and that event's still sitting in your camera roll. So similar photos helps you go through and find some of those things. You can tell I'm pretty bad at this too. And then it will go through and help you find photos that you took together, but that are not, you know, that are basically the same content. So you took them right in sequence of each other. So that can really help for zeroing in on your library, and that's part of the best features. Another thing is really great if you like to import pictures from your camera, like a external camera. Sometimes those don't always save location data, depending on how you're editing, or maybe you tether it to your phone, but that's annoying. So if you want to like set location after the fact, you can tap in here and see all the photos that are missing location, and then from there in Best Photos, you can go in and edit the location and change where that is, or add it for those that are missing. And so you can just go through that search of where are my photos that are missing location, and it'll show them to you, and then you can add locations for them. And that's just so nice for the photos AI that analyzes your photos and creates all these smart collections for you, and any other kind of tools that analyze your library. So many of those look at location as one element. Obviously they're analyzing the content of the image too, but to have more of your library have location tied to the photos just really helps you be able to experience a lot better. Another thing, if you have the iPhone XS or XS Max, or even probably the iPhone XR, there's this new smart HDR feature, and so it can turn on HDR on photos, and sometimes it looks fantastic. Other times, you've probably seen reviewers online, have mixed feelings about it. It can kind of blend exposures in a way that looks a little blurry sometimes, or the dynamic range just looks so kind of flattened out between the lights are really just brought down and the shadows are really brought up, that it just kind of looks kind of fake or funny, or Apple's done a great job with it, but there's going to be those edge cases. So you can go into the settings app, so then you can turn on this keep normal photo for high dynamic range. And what this allows you to do is see the normal copies of your HDR photos, and basically your camera, like the iOS camera app, it will also save a version of it that doesn't have those HDR effects on it. So that way, after you shoot your image, you can go back into Best Photos, and if you've purchased the best features, you can run this HDR Smart Search, and it'll show you all your HDR photos that also have a normal copy. So here's the HDR version, here's the normal version. And sometimes you'll see that the exposure is just a little bit off, and if you're shooting something moving, it's because, the iPhone's taking all these exposures and blending them and stuff. It's doing all this kind of fancy stuff in the background. And so don't be surprised if the normal copy looks slightly different, but you can see here, in this case, I kind of like the non-HDR version a little more. The HDR looks a little bit like it has some kind of a filter on it or something. So, maybe I keep the non-HDR version of this Caltrane picture from WWDC week. So I can go ahead and delete that, which is great. So you can also do the same thing with portrait mode. If you've saved normal copies in the past with portrait mode photos, you know, then you can do that. Now, Apple's changed that a little bit with the new camera settings, and you know, with newer phones, you can adjust the aperture in the Photos app after the fact, and so that's a little bit different. Another smart search is accidental videos. These are times where maybe it just looks for ridiculously short videos in your library, and that can help you find videos. Maybe you meant to take them in like a second, but oftentimes what I've found is that means that you swiped over to the video app, or maybe someone you've handed your iPhone to who's not as good at using iPhones as you, swipes over to the video app, and then, oh, whoops, I'm taking a video of this group picture, and then they swipe back over and take a photo. So it can be a really nice way to realize, you know, find those mistakes that you really don't care about and delete them. It can be a really nice way, though, to find those outtakes and just videos that aren't really contributing to your memories at all, and you can just delete them. So there's another feature that's new in 2.0, which is a Siri shortcut. So if you go into Siri and search in your settings app on your phone or iPad, you can go to all shortcuts and see all the different ones you've done in BestPhotos. So these are activity-based shortcuts, which means that you have to have gone and done those actions in the app. So if you've purchased the best features, any of those premium searches can be triggered with a shortcut. But of course, you have to have purchased the best features to be able to do those activities, to be able to show Siri, hey, this is something I do, and then Siri can make a shortcut for it. But regardless, you can always get, even if you haven't paid, like for free, you get the today, this week, and this month searches, so you can quickly get back to those. So I can add a shortcut for past week, so if I hit the plus button, show me the past week in BestPhotos. Great, so I've recorded that. Show me the past week in BestPhotos. There you go. So that's BestPhotos 2.0. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more great videos about apps, gear, and automation in the Apple ecosystem. This kind of a self-promotion is a little rare. I have a lot of great video ideas coming. I've been kind of consumed with this 2.0 BestPhotos update. I'm really excited to get back into rolling more stuff on YouTube, as well as new updates to BestPhotos. It's just going to be a great fall. And go check out BestPhotos if you haven't already on the App Store. I'll leave a link down below in the description. It would mean a lot to me. It's something I've worked really hard on, and it's something that I think if you like photography on iOS, you'll probably really enjoy. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.